So we've got a new project this week, so start of a new month. We've got 4 weeks of March, so 4-week project. And this one is looking at the masters, the old masters, the modern masters. So there's all sorts of different things you could do. One thing might be to do some sort of copy. That would be one option. So it could be copying a painting or a section of a painting. Another idea would be to do something that's sort of inspired by the masters. So in a minute I'll do a couple of demos. So I'll do something a little bit like one of these kind of tonal painting demos using oils. Do that in a minute. So another idea would be to do something in the style of another artist, but perhaps using your own subject. So I've got a couple of examples here. So that would be like Jackson Pollock style. Okay, something like that. I was asked to run a workshop once, Jackson Pollock workshops. That was my example for that one. This one was using a Matisse image, so like a particular painting by Matisse. But I did this from a model. We had a model sort of working with us. So I basically just kind of looked at the painting and picked out the colours from the Matisse painting and then applied them to the model. So that's that one. And then this one was actually when we did this project. I must have done this project a couple of years ago. So that was my Van Gogh version of Sound Church Park in Southend. So just basically using the colours, using the paint marks, things like that. So that's another way you could go. If you want to, so I've got various books. I've got a couple of copies of this book. This one is about the techniques of the great masters. So it's the old masters and the modern masters. Goes right through the old masters. So in a minute I'll have a little look at Turner and Rembrandt. But there's also like the Impressionists, Post-Impressionists, right up to modern art, Picasso, Cubism, all sorts. So there's books there that if you want to do a bit of research. There's a couple of calendars around. So there's one on Degas here and one on Impressionists. So if you want to use any of the images out of those and mix using one of the images, we can just take them out. I'll just cut them up.
Okay.
So just sort of cut out the ones you want to use, and we can use those. And that way other people can use them too. I've also got a couple of sets of a set of these cards. So these are like an educational resource that I was given. So this would be a Dürer drawing. And there's a bit of information on the back about them. Now I've only got one image of each of these. So if you like to use any of these images, use them for today, and then just put your name on a sticky note at the end of the session. I've got some sticky notes here. And I will then get a copy for you for next week to carry on. Because I find that some of these are more popular out there, so I can then copy them for a few people. So I've done that already a little bit. There's about 5 people wanting to use this one, so Amber's got a copy of that. If anybody else wants copies, so just kind of let me know if you want to use those. So that's kind of the resources so far. Obviously, you've probably got your own art books and things like that, or just getting stuff off the internet. That's a good way of finding things. So yeah, to start with, I thought this is just quite a nice exercise. So what I'm using here is oils. These are the water mixable oils. So we've got a set that with Jeff at the moment that you're all welcome to use. They're like a class set. What I've done to start with is for this particular exercise, it's basically, I've painted the board a kind of yellowy colour, it's like a pale yellow, and then I've put this burnt sienna over the top, so it just gives it a kind of coating of burnt sienna. So obviously I started the demo this morning, so I'll just do a little bit more background coat. So I just need a big brush and work the paint into the background. You really need a primer that's not too absorbent. So sometimes when you buy a canvas or a canvas board from the shops, the paint just sucks, it just soaks straight into it and you can't remove it. So with a primer that's reasonable quality primer, and to be honest, this is just emulsion paint. I haven't used anything flashy. It's just bits of paint I'd left over from decorating. And that seems to work well enough. It sort of absorbs it a little bit, but not too much. So, and then once you do that, it means that you can then wipe back to the tone and the colours underneath, and you can lift out a little bit of the highlights. So I could start to sort of maybe get her perhaps slightly lighter here, not really too light. So just using a bit of rag, or the other thing you can use is wet wipes, but these will wipe back quite a way, so I'll demonstrate that in a minute. And then we've got a shadow under a chin, and then we've got a little bit of light here. So I'll just take some of the highlights out to start with, something like that. And then if I want some bits even brighter, that's where these wet wipes are quite handy. And I can just go, lighter still, just get that really nice and bright. Just kind of like that even more. So let's get a little bit of the lights in, and then what I would then do is go in with some darks then. So far I've used just burnt sienna, which gives me a nice mid-tone, but I'll go a little bit darker and use some raw umber or burnt umber, or a bit of the two mixed together. So it's using quite a lot of shadow, so we can perhaps go a little bit darker here. Just work some of that in. And it's not the biggest of brushes, but not the smallest either. But it means that I can paint sort of quite broadly. And the lovely thing about the oil paints is, if I'm not happy with where I put it, I can wipe it back, I can push the paint around. So this exercise works really nicely with oils. It wouldn't work quite as well with acrylics, because the paint will dry too quickly. So if you want to have a go at this one, I suggest perhaps using these oils. These oils are water mixable oils, so you don't need to worry about solvents to wash your brushes with these. And then let's work the other eye in, something like that. But it's quite a nice way of working because it gives you a softer kind of edges to things. My paintings, to be honest, tend to be quite sharp edges, and this appeals to me to just try and perhaps move in a different direction and see where else I can go with the painting. I think I've made the nose a little bit too wide, not too wide, too narrow. I can just wipe that back a bit. You could use some cotton buds as well, something like that, just to lift areas out. And if you did one of these, you could either use this as a little study in itself, or you could let all this dry. These colours will dry quite quickly, they'll be dry by tomorrow. Browns, with oil paints, browns and blues tend to dry quite quick. I could then work colours over the top, so I could just keep this as the underpainting layer. I can kind of work in something like that, and the fact that I'm working into slightly wet paint helps me to soften edges. That's a tiny bit of shadow here, maybe lift a little bit out there. I'll do that with my rag because I don't want it too bright there. Just a fraction lighter. Yeah, and then the sort of shadows down here. Something like that. So that's that one. So that's almost like a very traditional approach. Quite a lot of the old masters started on quite dark surfaces, so they'd have a piece of raw canvas and they'd get a browny colour and a palette knife and just prime it with that, and then they'd work their painting into that, and they do like a black and white painting underneath, and then let that dry. Then the next layer will be the start of colour. So that's one way of working. I thought I'd also have a look at the Turner image, just because quite a few people, so this is the start of the Turner. Yeah, with this one, yeah, one or two people have chosen that, so I thought that might be a good one to have a look at and explore. And there's information in the books about how he built his paintings up. And originally he did used to work on a darker surface, but apparently later on he started working on white, so white canvas. So he's probably one of the early painters to do that. I know the Impressionists worked on white surfaces, and that can give your paintings a bit of glow. So this one I started, and it also said that he started off just with washes of thin colour. So I thought, well, this one I'll use as a demonstration for this project, and just gradually build it up. So it could be that we just have some kind of thin washes and just draw the painting out. So the sun will be down here somewhere. And this really literally is like painting an undercoat. If you're doing a bit of house painting, you perhaps have an undercoat colour and then you go over with your gloss. So this is a way that artists also built up the paintings. They start off with some background colours and then gradually build up. I'm just thinking there's a slight pinkiness to that bit. And yeah, according to that book, he just started with different colours and thin layers and worked them up. So I should do the same with mine. Perhaps a little bit of yellow in there. So it's mixing it a tiny bit, but just really painting. So the idea is at the end of the session, you've got everything roughly plotted out, and you've got some colour where you want it to be. Probably a little bit high up actually. Perhaps I want to come down. Perhaps come down a little bit. And again, the nice thing is you can adjust this. This bit of canvas I've got in a roll just down there. So if anybody wants a bit of canvas, there's some canvas there. But it comes ready primed, so I can work. And the priming seems alright actually. I think I probably can white. Yeah, that will white back as well. I can lift that off quite nicely if I need to. Some of that was put on this morning. And then probably these areas around the boat. Again, I can just do the same sort of thing. Just want the boats in about here. I don't want it too dark. So I'm thinking the galleon itself could come in here. Not
do you
galleon.
always use an easel? Do you always use an easel?
Yeah, I do really. Yeah. I guess that's. I mean, it's nice to be able to stand back and to paint at arm's length. And most of the time I paint it outside. But I do paint in the studio as well. Like in the studio, I've got like 2 easels. So I have my picture on one and then work and painting on the other.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's probably where I want the ship to be. So you can see it's quite loose, quite sketchy at this point, and then just really concentrating on lights and darks. Got the reflection down here. Not going to worry about too much about the details, but you can see, you know, it's roughly going in where you need everything to be. So what I would do is carry that on, just get some paint everywhere, and then the next layer, which I'll demonstrate next week, is he used quite thick paint. So he used, particularly with the whites, we perhaps do thicker whites, let them dry, and then he then puts thinner paints over the top, which helps give it that nice glowing, transparent feel. So that's a nice way that the old masters kind of built up their paintings, and where you get that sort of nice glowing feeling by building colours up, layer upon layer. Any questions? If you fancy having a go at the oils, they're in that tin, as I say, on Jeff's desk, help yourself. A bit of canvas there if you want a bit of canvas to paint on. And as I say, if you want to use a particular image, obviously use it today, put a little label on it, and I'll get a copy of it for next week.
Paul, you get us really well trained up and we could be a secret forgery group.